Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Max Frequency Podcast. Episode 2, joining me this time, Cameron Hawkins. Cam Hawkins? You prefer Cam, right?
Honestly, like, people just started doing those, "Okay, call you Cam," and then that's just kind of like how people know me. I don't really care, though. You're the first person that introduced me as Cameron Hawkins, so I'm just like, part of me is like, oh, I appreciate that, but also part of me is just like, whatever. I've never been a huge fan of my name in general, so I love my last name. I think my last name is really cool.
It is.
But my first name, I'm just like, I've always asked my parents, like, why'd you call me Cameron? Like, it's not like I hate it. It's just like, you could have picked better names, you know? Like, no offense to the Camerons out there, but I'm just like, I don't know.
My name is just Max. It's not short for Maxwell or Maximus or anything. And so everyone asks me, was your name, one of those? And it's not. And so I always try to look at someone's name and introduce them with their actual name, unless they have a preference.
Yeah.
Which is why I asked.
No, I appreciate it. I don't care.
My favorite name you've used is something like Hot. Is it Hot Take Hawkins? Cameron?
Hot Take Hawkins.
You've done something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for those that are listening, like me and this is like probably the first like real in-depth conversation that me and Max have ever had, even though we've known each other for like well over a year at this point, almost 2 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
But we have very dissenting video game opinions most of the time. So like he praises Naughty Dog to the sun and back, and I think they're one of the most overrated developers out there. So it is what it is.
But we get along. That's how people do it. Yeah, I feel like we actually have a lot of our personality in similar ways. We both can have really hot takes as it is, and then just really passionate about the way we feel. And I feel like sometimes we're aligned and sometimes we're not. But that's part of why I wanted to have you on the show, was so we could actually talk together, because we both worked over DualShockers, but I don't think our time never overlapped.
It did,
right?
It did. Yeah, you were there. We were there together.
I left PAX East 2019. That was after.
Then you were gone, but like you were still in the Discord. You came back and reviewed games from time to time. Like you were still. I feel like you were still present for like I would say about like till the end of 2019. I would say.
Yeah, before they kicked me out.
Yeah.
They did that on and off. They'd bring me back in, and they'd kick me out. It's all fine. But DualShockers, as we knew it, no more. And don't really want to get into that.
Nope.
Been there, had it. I think it's still your pinned tweet, correct? At least the last time I checked.
Yeah.
So if anyone really cares, you can go check that out at Cam Final Mix on Twitter. But what I want to really talk about up front is what you're doing now, which primarily streaming on Twitch and IGN's Podcast Unlocked. How'd you get that gig, dude?
Dude, I don't know. Like, I get people, whether it be from DualShock, like even when we're like DualShockers was a thing, like I had like numerous people hit me up and be like, "Yo, like, I need advice. Like, tell me how did you get this far? Like, how did you do this and that?" And I'm like, I'm telling you, I know that like a lot of people like try and say that it's not as much of a level of luck that I say it is, but I'm telling you, like, I'm like at least 50%, at least 50% of it. It's just luck. It's completely luck. So back. And part of it was like last year was a lot to do with George Floyd. They wanted to highlight black people in the industry, and like that's a whole nother subject. But I'm still grateful that like I got those opportunities. Like I got on Inside Gaming. Somehow Alana Pierce already knew who I was before then, and I'm like, how do you know who I am? Like, what? I've done nothing of significance to that level where I should be on your radar in any way. Like, what is this? At least that's what I thought at the time. And then which was great. And then I got onto Beyond because I'd started like interacting with Jonathan Norton Bush on Twitter, and he was just like, yeah, let's get you on, because he knew I was a big Kingdom Hearts guy. I was like, sweet, let's do it. And then I also then got on Ryan McCaffrey's radar, and then he asked me to be on a few episodes of Unlocked, like back in 2020. It happened the same day where I had like this flare up because I'm asthmatic and I had to go to the ER to like get oxygen. I was low on oxygen. It happens every few years or so. And he would like Ryan messaged me personally, like in my DMs, because he's asthmatic as well, and he was just like, hey, you should look into this prescription. Like, this has helped me a lot. Like, to the point where it doesn't even feel like I have asthma anymore. Like this type of stuff. But then he also asked me like, hey, like I also wanted to reach out to you because I want you to be like a permanent temporary host while Destin Legary is on paternity leave. And I was just like, yeah. I was like, what? But yeah, sure. And so I've been on the show, I want to say, for like at least 2 months now. And I think I have at least 2 more weeks left, like 2 more episodes left. But I'm grateful that I've gotten as far as I did. So, or like, that I got this opportunity. So yeah, it's been crazy.
So I used to listen to Unlocked regularly, and then I fall out of it and I come back in and all that kind of stuff. And I listened to last week's episode to refresh myself. But whenever I used to listen to Beyond, that was the thing that I listened to all the time. And just the idea of being on a show with the people that you hear all the time and you listen and you look up to on some level. Yeah. And then to have them be, hey, you want to do this for 2-3 months? How do you check that? Because that seems really cool.
Dude, it's wild. Like literally last night I was just like, it was just one of those like come to realization moments where I'm just like, I'm f***ing friends with Ryan McCaffrey. Like what the like he had a Twitter Spaces and I hopped in there and I requested to talk, because I actually wanted to like he was like just kind of taking like Xbox questions and stuff like that with like a bunch of Unlocked listeners. And then he was just like, after he spoke with the first person that I heard when I walked into the room, he was just like, well, I gotta say hi. And I was just like, this is wild. This is wild. This sort of like recognition that people have for me, like that people have, is just like, for me, is just so insane. And because I'm just like, I just it's one of those things like I can tell you like beat for beat like how I got here, but then I'm also just like, how did I get here? How did I get to this?
That like 50% luck. Exactly,
it is. It really is. And it's just like, because like again, like that Inside Gaming gig was 100% like Autumn Farrell. For those that don't know, is like Bruce Green's fiance, and she was like the manager at Inside Gaming at the time. She does like, I think she does like stuff for 100 Thieves now. And she was just like, hey, like, who are some black creators or like black people in the industry that we should get on our shows? And just everyone, like, granted, I put in my 2 cents too, but then like a bunch of people are just like, you should get Cameron on the show, blah, 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 blah. And then the next thing I know, I get a message from Autumn, and I'm just like, me? Like, out of all these other people? I'm like, there's so many people that I'm sure that went for this. Like, me? And, I don't know. It's just wild. And then I was supposed to be selected for TGA's feature class, but I missed the email because me. Because it wasn't, okay, because the thing is that the recipient wasn't like the Game Awards or Jeff Keighley, or like, it was like some random name. And I was just like, so I just kind of like overlooked it, I guess. And because I was just like, oh, okay, like, because I was looking for Game Awards. I was waiting for it, So I just must have overlooked it. And then by the time, because I was looking at the emails of my email after it was announced, and I realized that I was selected, and I was like, man, which is still like super humbling and crazy that was almost a thing. So, but this year we gotta,
I was gonna say, you going for it this year?
Yeah, gotta go for it again, But it would have been cool to be a part of the inaugural class, So, but I know many people that were a part of that class, and great for them. But yeah, it's just crazy. Like, but exactly like you said, like, there's just so many people that I just like, looked up to. Like, I remember listening to Unlocked when it was like Ryan, Marty, Mitch, like,
Old school.
Yeah, super old school. And like now I am kind of a part of that, and it's granted it's temporary, and granted I want to work for IGN one day. I hope to be like a permanent chair like on Unlocked one day. Like, honestly any of the podcasts would be great, but Xbox I would think is just, that's where I like to play my games, and it just makes the most sense to me. Like, I would still love to be on here and there, which I was on one episode, and I still need to be on NVC. That's like I need the hat trick, you know what I mean? I need the...
Yeah, get all three.
I need to get all three. So, Casey DeFreitas, if you're listening to this, hit me up.
Your experience actually reminds me a lot of my wiki experience, because I did freelance work with IGN wikis for 4-5 years.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I remember waiting for that email from Sam Claiborne, getting the gig, and then it just snowballs into, here's John Ryan, Miranda Sanchez, Brendan Graber, Casey DeFreitas joined the team later. It is, you just kind of have that rush, and you learn and you meet all these people. I've worked with Destin. We were doing promotional material for Hitman at the time, I believe, and it is so fun and cool, and you just realize these are the people that make me want to do this type of job. And I think, was it 2018? I feel like 2018 I made a trip out to San Francisco. My dad was working on a project there, and so I had an excuse to go out. And I went to the IGN offices and hung out with the wiki people.
Oh, okay.
I did swing by the end of the tour, but I hung out with just the wiki people. That was actually back when Philip Mewson was still there.
Oh, gosh.
And I remember I specifically asked him in the Q&A at the end, because at the time he was the MVC host.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you fill those shoes of the guys, Rich George, Jose Otero?
Yeah, Jose Otero.
I want to, yeah. How do you fill those shoes? And I honestly forget his answer. Now we know the aftermath.
Yeah.
You fill those shoes with plagiarism, apparently.
Yep.
But Casey does a great job. I remember working with her all the time. She's actually from Florida, which is where I live. But that stuff has always been so exciting to work with those people. I even met Ryan on the tour, talked to him about Tesla. I told him, I said, the first new car I'll buy was Tesla. That did not pan out, but that's okay. Yeah. What is that? Like, you just hop on and you guys talk on Discord? Like, what's the prep and cycle that you do to go into Unlocked every week?
Normally, like a few days beforehand, Ryan sends a Google Doc giving us a good idea of what the show's going to be. If there's new news that comes out during... before then, he'll add that. And
it feels like there's new news for Xbox a lot.
Yeah, yeah, recently, yeah. And we'll edit that, accordingly.
Yeah.
And then, we'll hop in Discord. We have a producer that does like a clean feed and like a we've been recording through vMix recently. And
what's vMix?
It's actually how a lot of people do like higher production streaming / recording nowadays. Like Spot on Me uses vMix as well. It's basically I can't like explain it to you per se, but like it's a way to like do video recording. Okay. That's the best way I can explain it. Right now. It's a way to do video recording. And yeah, and then we just chatted up and just to say on record in case any Unlocked listeners are listening, the Google Docs do have the question for like
the trivia,
but like the answer's not there. The answer's not there, and we do not look up the answers beforehand. Like I do not look at the question. I don't look at the question in general until we record the podcast, because I just want that genuineness. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but yeah. So there is no, like, we don't cheat on that show. So
you trying to pull ahead here before your next hiatus here?
I mean,
what is it? 112?
I want to. Yeah, it's 112 right now. Well, okay. It's like everyone has one. No, hold on. I think everyone has
At
one
least...
except for Miranda, who has 3.
She has 3 now.
I think she has 3 now,
okay.
yeah. 'Cause she got ahead of me last week, and then she got it right again this week. I'm like, damn it! Because she knew the answer. She knew the answer this time around. I'm like... So, but granted, the one I got right, she did not get right. So, you gotta
study up here before you're gone.
I'm so mad too, because when I went into this week's, like, when I saw this week's question, my gut was telling me, like, what the answer ended up being right, like that answer. But then, I was just like, because Destin, like, brought up, like, the whole family thing, and I was just like, man, that actually does make a lot of sense, and he's persuaded me, and I'm so sad. So
gotta go with your gut.
Yeah, I should have went with my gut.
Yeah, it's always do your gut in trivia. Don't overthink it. That's what I've learned. I would not do very well at Xbox trivia. Haven't been around that wheelhouse for a long time. How's the response been to you on the show? Because at least, like, I remember when Max and Brian joined Beyond, and there was not, at least there was a very vocal minority of people that weren't a fan of that. And usually people don't like change.
Yeah,
and even if Destin's gone because him and his wife had a kid, how has that response been for you?
So part of me wants to know what people think, and then the majority is like, I don't care, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like
you made it.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I'm here. Like, y'all hating, like, doesn't affect me because I'm here already. You know what I mean? And but I definitely have gotten or seen, like, comments and, like, people, like, tweeting at me that, because it's something that I'm working on, but I'm not the best orator. Sometimes it's hard for me to find the right words, which is why I write a lot, because writing's easier for me in that regards.
You can take your time to come up with what you want to say.
Exactly. So sometimes I'm just like, oh, what am I trying to say right now? And because, like, I remember where there was one time where I did get I was getting criticized for taking too long to get to the point, and I was just like, I'm explaining my point. Like, I'm explaining all the reasons as to why I think this. I'm not trying to get to a point. I'm explaining my point. I made my point. Let me explain it now. So that didn't really make a whole... It was regarding the whole price increase for Xbox Live Gold, where they, like, doubled the prices. And that was my first episode on the show, once I got, like, as the temporary host gig. And I was explaining, I was just like, I think that they're doing this because they don't want to raise the price of Game Pass. Like, there's been this conversation that, like, Game Pass is so good for its value that eventually they're gonna have to raise the price. And I feel like them raising the price of gold was them as a
like the compromise.
It was a compromise so that they didn't have to up the price of Game Pass somewhere down the line, or at least, like, as quickly as they probably were planning on. And I still think that, like, I would probably say by the end of next year, we're going to get a price increase in Game Pass. I don't know how much that's going to be, but I definitely think it's going to happen. I could be wrong.
Surprise me.
So, but yeah, I was explaining, like, all the reasons. This is like, okay, like what were their options here? Like, they could have removed gold completely, which they don't want to do because they want to give people options. Granted, they want people on Game Pass, that's their goal, but, like,
right,
they've been marketing themselves as, like, hey, we want to give you guys options. So if they did that would just be hypocritical of them. So, like, and it was one of those things for me, like, I personally would rather them just pull off the bandage and just make the price increase instead of it generally going up over time, because every time there's a price increase, people complain. So why not just do it one time? Yes, it's major, but just do it one time, and then you don't have to worry about it for like another 10 years. Instead of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and then the backlash was so severe this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Back anyway.
So it's just,
which is good on them.
Yeah, no, it's good that they reversed it, but I do think that like I know that Microsoft is a $1 trillion company, but I still think at some point they're going to have to up the price of Game Pass. So, but
they just spent $7.5 billion. They got to make their money back.
Yeah, so I mean that's still nothing for them, but still,
it's so much money.
It is so much money, but it's not for Microsoft.
It's crazy.
But yeah, it was just like that was one thing that I was just like, I'm explaining my point. I'm going into the sure, I'm getting into the nitty gritty, but like I'm just trying to explain my mindset here, and like, do you just want me to say like price increase bad or price increase good? Like, no, that's not what you like. That's not a good discussion. So, because that's like one thing that I have noticed is that I think I go a little bit more in depth on my like thinking viewpoints than like the rest of the panel. And like sometimes I get that vibe that like Ryan is like kind of caught off guard, that I'm like, oh, he's still going, he's still talking. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to get my point. Like I'm trying to explain everything in detail, because it's just, I don't know. That's just like how I like to explain things.
I do that a lot when I tell stories or do anything. I provide backstory and context for everything. And Abby, my wife, if she's had a long day at work, she's a teacher with middle school, so they're already draining. And then I come in and I'm telling this long story or backstory or whatever, and she's like, just get to the point. I'm like, but it's all important. So I get that. And also the like being a good speaker and orator, that's why I started this show, because I was recording a different project and I could tell I was off my game. I used to do a weekly podcast with Logan Moore for 2-3 years. And like, you know, when you have that rhythm and that cadence, especially with a permanent other host, you get in a flow, you're good. And then I took a year and a half, 2 off, and I could tell I was rusty. I needed something consistent, at least on a monthly basis, to, you know, keep my voice and being able to talk and all that stuff fresh. It's super important. Practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
The more you do it, the better you get. And I'm sure you could go to your first episode of Unlocked, go to your most recent, and you'll see improvement.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works. You also get a flow for those hosts. You've got Ryan, Miranda, Destin came back this week. You know, you learn how these people talk and how to bounce back and forth. If you're thrown in the lion's den, it's harder. And I don't think people get that.
Yeah, and I think that, again, I think in general I'm just not a super great orator, but I do think that this does help. Like, that's why, like, I do want to go. Well, I mean, I won't go on a podcast just so I can chat with people, but also it helps my speaking, my communication skills, and hopefully, you know, even last week, someone tweeted at me like, "Hey, stop saying like so much," and I'm aware that that's an issue, and I have to find ways. But then there's like last week's episode where, like, going into last week's episode, I was just like, okay, I gotta focus on not saying like that is my goal for this episode. And then like partway through the episode, I just realized, because you know I don't know if I don't have an official diagnosis on this, but I'm on trials for ADHD. And if I do have ADHD, that makes a lot of sense for a long time. So like halfway through the episode, I was just like, holy shit, I completely forgot to to like focus on not saying like. But thinking about it, I don't think I really have said it that much. So I guess I'm just gonna keep going now. So I think there's just certain days, you know, like certain days, you know. Again, it depends on what you're talking about. It depends on what you're trying to, what point you're trying to get across. But I realize it's an issue, and I am trying to not say it as much. And I don't think I've even said it that much, like during this podcast, so which is good. So it really just depends on the conversation.
I'm doing the same thing right now, but with the word or sound because I do full edit of the show. I listen back to the whole thing while I'm editing it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, I realize where I slip up, where I'm stuttering and pausing, because all and like are filler words while your brain is catching up to your mouth.
Yeah.
And so I'm right now I'm trying not to say and we'll see how I did, but I understand that completely. We use them as a crutch the way we speak, and it's hard to be intentional about not using those words.
Yeah, and some people saw that interaction on Twitter and that like have followed me from Unlocked and said like, oh, don't worry, like legitimately don't worry about it, like you're great on the show, like things like that. But no, that's a valid thing that I've been trying to work on for a while. I don't want to, like, I appreciate the compliments, but that doesn't mean that I can't improve,
Mm-hmm. When you get the negative stuff, do you just auto block or mute? I'm a mute person myself, but or do you just shrug it off and move on?
So I actually haven't really gotten any DMs on Twitter saying like you suck, you, F you or anything like that. But I do. It's more the YouTube comments that like I try and refrain from.
Just don't read them.
Yeah, just don't read them. And again, I don't really get. That was the only time I gotten. Here's the thing: it was a constructive criticism. I don't take constructive criticism as a negative. So that one interaction would be like the closest thing to a negative tweet that I've gotten directed towards me since I've been on the show.
That's good.
Most of it has been super positive, which is great. But there are those people on the internet that are just like, they're in their own little corner and they're just like, I hate you. I'm jealous that you're in this position, so I'm going to just hate you forever.
I think it brings it back to that people don't like change, and then the anonymity of the internet. They have some profile picture that's not a real person, and they can just say whatever they want, and there's no consequence.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of it. But it's interesting to hear that Twitter's actually been fairly nice, because Twitter's usually not.
And I don't go on Facebook very much anymore unless I'm interacting with my family because they don't have Twitter. Which I'm kind of glad, because I'm a lot more like uncensored on Twitter than I am on Facebook. But I am in the Podcast Unlock group, and I told them like they knew who I was because I guested on the show before. But I told them like, hey, I'm going to be a temporary host for like a few months while Destin's gone, and all positive comments. Like people are like, oh, I loved you when you were on the show before. Great to see you back. All those things. So I really do think that it's if there is like a big vocal minority there, then, or if there is those negative people, it's a very loud minority. Part of me wants to see the comments, but at the end of the day, it's just, I know it's not for my own good, and it's not like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, I know what issues I need to work on as a co-host with my communication skills, and that's I don't need other people's like validation or negativity to justify those things. So
that's good. I think a lot of people, at least in the early days of the internet, you hear that people really embraced all of that and kind of took all of the licks, and now I think it's more common for people to just ignore that, and I think it's really good that you've adopted that of just staying away from it, because I think that's unhealthy to be deeply engaged with all that stuff. It's not good.
Yeah, you just gotta keep that mentality. Like if you don't like listening to this specific person, like granted, like we're a group, so that's different. But like if you're like if someone doesn't like your content or like this podcast or something like that, then like just don't listen to this podcast. Like move on to find a different like don't just harass someone. If you want to make a change for this show or whatever, be constructive. Don't be an asshole about it. Like you can just be like, hey, liked you on the show, but try and do this like next time, or like work on this. Like you could there could be some improvement there. Like that isn't. You can say it in a way that isn't negative. You can say it in a way that it's just like, that's constructive and still in a way positive. Like, hey, I liked what you said about this, but try and be more concise on the way you say it, like things like that.
The other thing specifically, well, there are 3 things because we have a list. But anyway, honestly, the thing I'm most excited to talk to you about, and I don't know how long this particular conversation will be, is the Analogue Pocket.
Oh, baby.
Because
let's talk about the Analogue Pocket.
You're the only other person I personally know who actually got a pre-order.
I know a few people that got a pre-order, but my buddy Brendan, who I've been like hanging out with and chatting with a lot the past like year or so, because he's the one who like basically gave me the opportunity to be on my first PAX panel. We were on a panel for like top 10 games we would like to see become movies, basically. And that was at PAX East right before everything got into lockdown, and hopefully there can be a con this year. I really I want to go to a con so bad.
I miss PAX East. Was 2019 was my first one, and I desperately want to go back.
Yeah, I would say that I enjoyed my time at PAX West when I went in 2019 more than PAX East, in the sense of like just like the games that were there and things like that. But like when it came to just like the actual people and the interactions, definitely I enjoyed PAX East more, just because I got to meet so many people for the first time. But my buddy Brendan, he so for those that don't know what the Analogue Pocket is that are listening, it's basically like Analogue is a company that makes their own hardware to play older software that already exists. So the Analogue Pocket is basically their Game Boy Advance. Like it's modeled like a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy, but it can play up to like Game Boy to Game Boy Advance games, and then like Game Gear,
Atari Lynx, whatever the Pocket Turbo Graphics console is, and Neo Geo. So a ton of consoles.
Thankfully, the main adapter, like there's no adapter for it, but the main base of it is like Game Boy. You don't have to buy it. You didn't have to buy like an adapter for that stuff.
They had to do that because it's the most.
They know it's the most.
It's
popular.
the biggest library, the most popular, the one people want to play on it the most.
So when the pre-orders went up, the pre-orders like sold out in like 10-15 minutes. And my buddy Brendan, this is the reason he missed out on the pre-order. I don't know if I want white or black. And I was just
you
like,
gotta make that decision before
you gotta make a decision
pre-orders.
before this, dude. Like going in, I was like, I know I'm getting white.
Yeah.
I'm getting the dock. I'm like, we're good. You know what I'm? Oh my god, I can't.
I knew exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, I still think about it every once in a while. I'm like, Brendan, why? Why did you do this to yourself?
Oh, that sucks.
Because I know that Tim Geddes got one.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I think Alex
That's
Van
good.
Aken got one, if you know who Alex Van Aken is.
Isn't he over at Game Informer now?
Yep. I'm pretty. Yeah. I'm pretty sure those two got one. I don't know about anyone else. I don't know anyone else off the top of my head, but I just vividly remember both of them tweeting out that they were like trying to get it.
Yeah.
So
that morning was rough.
Yeah, I was like scared because like, why won't it let me check out? And everyone was having this issue. I was like, why won't it let me check out?
I remember specifically, I was tweeting about the same issue, and your order had already gone through, and you responded, you're like, just wait, it'll go. And I can't remember if it was I think it was my phone that finally went through, and I got it in black because I guess you and I are just forever opposite. But I got black, the dock.
Nice.
I got the Game Gear adapter, a link cable, and the case. So I managed to get all that.
I just got the game and the actual system and the dock.
Smart.
I should have probably gotten the case, but I still have like my old Game Boy bag, and stuff like that. So I'm just like, I can just put it in there or something like that. Like I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. I like the look of it. I was like, I'm going to get that. Thankfully, they've said they're going to try and keep demand up through 2020, but the initial wave of pre-orders here should be coming out sometime in May.
May. Finally. God.
Which is like 1 to 2 months away, depending on how you look at it.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited, dog. Like, I don't know if you saw my tweet like a week ago or something like that, but I just got my crystal battery replaced. because my battery was dead and it wouldn't save games, and I was just like, I need to get this replaced, like, proper, because I'm not doing that electrical tape bullshit. It's like, I need to get this properly replaced.
Get it soldered.
Yeah, exactly. Get it properly replaced right before, before the Analog Pocket comes out, because when I get my Analog Pocket, I'm streaming Pokemon Crystal. I'm super excited. It's the first time I played that game in a very long time.
You'll appreciate this. My friend texted me this morning asking if he could borrow one of my Game Boys because he managed to find, based off the photo, a pretty clean copy of Pokemon Yellow. $4 garage sale.
Wow.
I don't. Yeah, he's so lucky.
So I have a retro store in Reno, but their inventory is always like not good. I don't know what it is. Like they just, the best thing that I found at because they have two stores, but at either of those stores is the Steelbook for Persona 5 that came in the collector's edition or whatever. Because I didn't get the collector's edition for that game, but I want to in hindsight. But I saw the Steelbook. And honestly, I think Persona 5 Steelbook is like, because I have all the Persona 5 Steelbooks. Like, I have the Royal one, I got the Strikers one, but I think that one's like, Persona 5 is the best. It's gorgeous.
It is.
It's gorgeous.
It's so clean.
Yeah,
it looks so.
Yeah, so I saw that there, and I was just like, well, I'm definitely picking this up. But like outside of that, nothing really worth mentioning. But like, so I go over to Carson City, which is like a 30-minute drive from Reno. And I go to their retro store, and they always have good. They always have at least one thing that I want to buy. So like in the past, I've gone there a few times. The past few weeks, for one, the battery, but also my barber is in Carson because he used to be out here. Like he used to be like a 5-minute drive from my house, actually, which was really nice. Apartment, not house. I live in a very small apartment. But then he moved to Carson because he lives in Carson and he opened up his own shop. And so I was just like, well, I'm definitely going to still like have you cut my hair because I like you as a person and all that stuff. And so whenever I go over to get my hair cut, I also go over to the retro store. And since going there, I found some gems, dude. Like I found, well, first off, I got Fire Red, which is great. I almost picked, they had Fire Red and Leaf Green there. I was going to pick up both of them, but then they said how much they cost, and I was like, okay, we'll just get one today.
What were they selling them for?
I think it was like, I want to say it was like 70 each.
I've always wanted Leaf Green. I've never got it. I always have my eyes peeled.
Okay, well, okay, so we'll talk more about that afterwards because I can keep an eye out for you. But yeah, Leaf Green, Pokemon Blue. I picked up Pokemon Blue.
That's the one I have. Yeah,
I picked up a manual for Pokemon Blue, like the trainer guide, because there's someone on Etsy that remakes the boxes, and so I'm gonna have them remake the blue box for me, and then I'll have a complete package to a certain degree. The only thing that kind of sucks is that the front page of the trainer guide's a little ripped, but gotta do what you gotta do for now. Hopefully I can find another one later. I found Pokemon Ranger complete because that's like a big collection goal for me right now, and I know we're going to get more in depth about collections later. I kind of missed, outside of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which I was all on because, you know, Johto best gen, I missed a lot of, like, basically all of the Pokemon side games, spin-off games on the DS. So I never played like any of the Mystery Dungeon games. I haven't played any of the Ranger games. I didn't play Pokemon Conquest. So that's like a goal for me right now, is to try and get copies of those games for my collection to play eventually. Because I picked up Ranger 1. I picked up Shadows of Almia, which I think is the second game, and but that was just the cartridge. So then I bought like just a box and manual that someone was selling on eBay. So I have it incomplete now. I bought Explorers of Time, which is the second Mystery Dungeon game, and then I also bought Red Rescue Team for Game Boy Advance in case I wanted to stream it.
I think actually you can, if you have Blue Rescue Team and Red, I think if you use one DS, you can like communicate between the two games somehow.
That's
which
really,
I always
really
thought
cool.
was cool as a kid.
That's really, really cool, yeah. So basically, I'm picking up a lot of Pokemon games, like older Pokemon games. I still need to get Guardian Signs. I still need to get Conquest. And then I need to pick up, I want to get Pokemon Platinum, but I want to get that, I want a complete version of that, and that game is very expensive.
I've just found this out semi-recently because I used to own Diamond and Platinum, and I sold those to a GameStop at some point because Pokemon games keeps their value. And now Platinum's like a $90 game. I still have the manual. And
In the box?
if I have the box, I don't know where it is.
Why would you, I was gonna say, why do you have the manual but not the box? That's...
So for all my DS games, I actually would take the manuals out of the box and I put them in an old CD binder case thing because they're the size of a CD, and so they keep them nice and flat and in good shape.
That's actually...
I've since now moved them all back to their boxes because I'm an adult and can take care of my manuals. But yeah, I never realized that Platinum had shot up in price. I looked at Emerald the other day because I just bought my first Gen 3 Pokemon game.
Oh, really?
I actually shared this story on the last episode. I'll give you the semi-quick version. I love telling it. My history with Pokemon is weird because when I was a kid, I had blue cards, toy, the whole thing. And I guess I was too into it. My parents thought I was being obsessive. And so their response was to make me get rid of it all. Games, toys, and cards. But the kicker, Cam, is the cards, they made me shred them. Yes.
What?
Oh, yeah. They understand now that they had no idea what they were doing. It was a terrible mistake. The hatchet's buried. We laugh about it now. But I send them articles whenever I see them that say, Charizard, $300,000.
This is what you did to me. This is what you did.
Exactly. So I didn't return to Pokemon until the DS when I was 13. So Diamond was my reintroduction to the series. I bought Ranger because it was the only way to get a Manaphy. I still have Ranger. And then Blue Rescue Team. So the games that you were looking for, those were the ones that I really came back to. I have a blue cart because that's the one I had as a kid. And then I have these spin-offs now. And the last Pokemon game I played was X. But I actually just bought Sapphire, $55.
Nice.
At a store.
I
actually had store credit there.
I have a fun, very short story about Ruby and Sapphire. Because Ruby and Sapphire, I'm pretty sure came out really close to my birthday. And I vividly remember going to Target as a kid. I was like 8 years old, picking up very excited to pick up Pokemon Sapphire. They were out of Pokemon Sapphire.
Good choice.
They only had Pokemon Ruby. So I was just like, but I was like, at that point in my life, Pokemon Crystal was my favorite game of all time. It's the reason why I play video games to this day. I was just like, I can't just not get Pokemon. So I got Pokemon Ruby and stuck and just dealt with it. But to this day, when I play Ruby, I'm just like, I wish I had Kyogre. I don't want Groudon. I don't care. Like, Groudon's ugly.
We agree.
Because I'm one of those people that, like, and a lot of people, like, don't have this mentality. A lot of people are just like, okay, how good are they in battle? Like, what are their stats? Like, things like that. I'm like, yo, does the Pokemon look cool? Because that's the Pokemon I catch, So when it came to, like Entei, my favorite Pokemon ever, is because I think he's the coolest looking Pokemon. Literally, it's just that. It's just that. Like, that is why Entei's my favorite Pokemon. So for me, I was like, oh, I can't wait to get Kyogre. Like, Sapphire, so cool. And I was like, I begrudgingly bought Ruby. I still have my Ruby to this day. I have the box too. I have the box for Ruby as well. I know I only show off my Wait, you can't see other side. I know I only show off my crystal and my it was on the right side. My crystal and my heart gold or my soul silver boxes, but I do have my ruby box too.
That's good. Very nice. I've realized that I should have just bought all the Pokemon games even if I couldn't play them, because apparently they're worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It's ridiculous. Emerald is like $200 now.
Yeah, Emerald is the one Pokemon game that I never played.
It's rough out there for Pokemon fans.
Okay, that's not true. I technically haven't played Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon either, but every other Pokemon game I've played, except for Emerald. Emerald was just one that got away, I guess.
Yeah, because I've been buying Game Boy games that I've always wanted because of the Pocket.
Yeah.
That's like Pokemon. We got Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
One of my favorite games ever.
What else have I got recently? I went on a bend, and I've actually used my Game Boy player on my GameCube. I've actually ripped all of my save data and the ROMs off of my cartridges, and now I have them on my computer, on my Mister. I'll be able to put them on my Pocket when that jailbreak comes out. Like I have these save datas that are finally protected and saved, against the cruelness of batteries and time. And I'm excited to finally play some of these games that I never played.
Yeah, I don't mess with any of that. I'm just like one of those people, like I just don't want to risk that stuff, and like, because I know there's times where I don't think you were in the Discord by the time Scott White came into Dual Shockers. Do you know who that is at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I know Scott.
So almost every time I'm like trying to I really want to play this game, but it's like on the system, he's like, emulate it. I'm like, emulate it. That's his answer every time, just emulate it. And I'm like, I don't want to emulate it. I don't want to mess with emulation. That's just not my thing. I would rather just like, hey, I have this game. It's mine now. I don't have to worry about anything else. That type of thing.
I have the same mentality. I prefer to play the game like the actual cartridge or disc.
Yeah.
Which is why I like the analog systems, because they do that FPGA-based emulation, but with the actual thing.
Because last year I emulated 2 games, and I don't want to emulate any more games because of my experience with the second game. So last year I decided, when Origami King, Paper Mario the Origami King got announced, I was just like, I am going to stream through all the Paper Mario games. I have never, every time a new Paper Mario game comes out, I'm just like, man, that looks really, really cool. I want to play it. Let's play. So I was just like, no more excuses. I'm going to play through all the Paper Mario games leading up to Origami King. I know that they're not connected in any way, but I'm just like, this is a good reason for
it's the time to do
me
it.
to play through. That's like kind of like my mentality since I've started streaming. It's just like, oh, this new game from a series that I've always wanted to get into is coming out at whatever point this year. I'm going to play through all of the other ones leading up to it. So, once I'm currently streaming Nier Automata, but once I'm done with Nier Automata, I'm going to start streaming through all the mainline Ratchet and Clank games, because I've never played a Ratchet and Clank, and
what?
Yeah, it just not a part of my history. Hey, I've hardly played any Zelda games. You know what I mean? Like
you and me are more similar there than you might think.
That's more criminal to me than Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, it's more just surprise because there's so many of them. If you include all the spin-offs and stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm not. No, I'm just doing the mainline ones. So that's a good call. For those that don't know, that's the PS2 trilogy. It's the Future trilogy, which is on the PS3, into the Nexus, and then the remake, the 2016 remake. So
you're going to play both the PS2 version of the first game and the remake.
Yeah, it starts beginning to last. It's not like I'm going to play them back to back. Yeah, so there's all those games leading up to Rift Apart in June. That's like my goal. Granted, like I'm going to try and play some games in between that because I don't want to get burnt out. But that is my goal. And even with that, like we were talking about, like how I don't want to mess with emulation and things like that. With the PS2 trilogy, I'm going to be playing it via Vita or PSTV. I'm going to stream it via PSTV, which I'm very happy I have a PSTV. Let me just say, like, I'm very happy.
I just got one a few months ago.
It's I hardly use it, but I'm so happy I have it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where, man, like I got a very good deal on mine because I had a friend who had like 3 of them for some reason, and he had like, and it was, you know, they were refurbished. I'm like, I don't give a like at this point, because I'm one of those people that likes to get anything like hardware, software related, new if possible. Like new if it's not too expensive. You know what I mean? But like for the PSTV, knowing how little I was going to use it, but still wanted it because of certain, you know, very specific factors, I was just like, I don't care. I just want it. Just give it to me. And I think he gave it to me for like $90, and I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah, I take it right now.
Yeah, exactly. It was a very good deal. But even with that, you have to strip the HDCP or whatever. And I'm just like, even that, I'm just like, oh, I don't really want to deal with that. But I bought the thingy that like strips it, so I just have to like learn how to set it up. Really, at this point,
actually, send me the link to that because I've been looking for something to strip that.
Yeah, I will.
We'll do that after the show.
Yeah, I will. So I can stream through the trilogy, right? But then not even the trilogy, because so I've been doing, like, I did the research, and this is so bizarre to me, so bizarre. So I'm playing the trilogy on PSTV. Then 3 of the 4 Ratchet and Clank games are on PS Now, which I've used PS Now to stream games before. That's how I played Metal Gear Solid 2. Tools of Destruction, which is the first PS3 game and the first of the future trilogy, is not on PS Now. And I'm like, why? Why is this not on PS? You have all the other PS3 Ratchet and Clank games on PS Now except for the first one? Like, why? So thankfully my buddy has a PS3, and I currently am borrowing it because I was borrowing it to get into the PS Vita. So I don't know if you know about this, but a lot of the PS Vita games that you can buy, like that are on Vita, like the PS1 classics, you can't get via the Vita anymore.
You have to copy from the PS3.
Yeah, you have to get them via the PS3 store only. And, well, here's the thing. You don't have to copy them from the PS3. Once you have them purchased on the PS3, you just go to your download list on your Vita, and it's there.
Ah,
interesting. Because at first, I thought you had to copy them. But then, it wasn't working. I was like, why is this not working? I'm following this video. Like, and then
do you have 2-factor authentication on?
I turned it off, and it still wasn't working. I was just like, what the f-? And then I looked at my download list, and they were all there. I'm like, oh, thank God. But you can't buy them. Like, you can download them, but you can't buy them off the Vita? What the f-? So, yeah, I bought,
the Vita store days are numbered.
Oh, yeah. So I basically bought every, like, yeah, for those listening, my dad passed away unexpectedly last year. So we had to sell his house, which was my childhood home, because my mom didn't live there anymore. And once I get the money for the house, like, I am going to buy literally every single Vita game that I want on this store. Like, I'm going to buy everything. Like, I'm just screw this. So I bought like 15 to 20 like games. Granted, all these were like $6 to $10. You know what I mean? Each, like,
yeah. Oh, that's the rough price.
Yeah, like it was all the PS1 classics that I bought, like Chrono Trigger, or not Chrono Trigger, like Chrono Cross. Well, I did buy Chrono Trigger too, but just really to have it, I'm going to play it on a different version. Like Chrono Cross, Vagrant Story, Legend of Dragon, like all these PS1 games that JRPGs that are classics that like I have never gotten the chance to play because I never had my own PS1. So like I played Final Fantasy VII because I had a friend that had a PS1 and I played at his place. That's how I got to play Final Fantasy VII. But like,
that's how I played all PlayStation games as a kid.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So I basically was just like, okay, I have everything that I want on my Vita now. It's downloaded. They're not being deleted. Speaking of which,
how big of a card do you have?
Huh?
How big of a memory card do you have?
I think I have like I think I either have a 64 or a 128.
You got the big boys, okay.
Yeah, which
I have a...
that's a whole nother conversation about like how much I had to pay for a memory card. Because I basically had a Vita, sold it so I could get my Xbox One X. I didn't want to sell it, but I was just like, I was in college, I was poor, I was like, gotta do what I gotta do. But then late last year, I saved up and got the another Vita, and I got the best one. I got the Persona 4 dancing one.
It's a very nice Vita.
Oh yeah. So, but anyway, Ratchet and Clank. So I have to use the PS3 and get some pre-owned copy of Tools of Destruction. And
shouldn't be that expensive.
Yeah, it's just like $10. I think I've seen somewhere. Like, it's not bad, but it's still just like, why is it like this? So that was a whole bunch of distractions that we just talked about. Like, it was like, oh, let's talk about this and this and this.
Well, actually, that kind of ties into the third thing. We've really been just dancing around it, but just you and I both collect a ton of stuff. Games, statues, music, all of it.
Yeah, I kind of want to know like what you have, because like this is because I didn't know that you were like, I felt like I knew that you were a big collector, but you don't really show them off as much as like I do per se.
No, well, mostly because we never had the space for all of it. We used to live in a one-bedroom apartment, and a lot of my collector stuff was actually in totes at my in-laws' house.
Mm-hmm.
But then we moved into this new 2-bedroom, and I have an office now, and I actually have space for things. To my right is all my old consoles and my CRT, so PS1, N64, PS2, Super NT, Wii, GameCube. Behind me on the bookshelf is where I've got my Last of Us and Uncharted statues, my Zelda shelf, a Japanese / Nintendo shelf, that kind of stuff, and then all the consoles. But all my games are actually in the closet. I'll send you a picture later, but I've got them all on shelves and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't know you had so much of the older hardware. Like, I'm not like that personally. The two consoles I've like thought about getting is one, a PS3, because there are some games on that are like still stuck on the PS3 that I'm like, oh, please port these games. And then there's also, I also thought about getting a Wii U again, specifically for the Virtual Console, which is something that...
As long as that's still up.
Yeah, which is something that... Because that's how I played Superstar Saga. And I was just like... So when I found out the Analog Pocket, I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to buy a copy of Superstar Saga. I'm definitely... and another thing that I really wanted to do is, like, I've never gotten to the Metroid series. So I'm going to get Zero Mission and Fusion as well. And then Super Metroid's on,
Excellent.
everywhere. And then I just bought Samus Returns on 3DS, so I basically am set to like eventually play through all the Metroid games. The only I want to stream them.
I love Metroid.
I want to stream them, but I can't stream Samus Returns. So I'm just like, should I stream them? Because I kind of like when I stream through a series, I like to be able to stream all of them.
Streaming it all.
Yeah, but granted, like, I started streaming through the Metal Gear Solid series, but I didn't stream Metal Gear Solid 1, which, man, what a game. Like,
so good.
Like, cause I played, Death Stranding was my first Kojima game. And...
Interesting.
Yeah, because I didn't grow up with the PS1. I didn't really, like,
Right.
So, I just never really got into Kojima. But I love Death Stranding. Like, first...
It's a great game.
First hot take of the night, like out of... I wouldn't call it's not a first party developed game, but I would say like after Persona 5 Royal, it is my favorite PS4 game.
It's a second party sort of
it's kind of like
because it's on PC now.
Yeah, exactly. It's my favorite like Sony like PS4 game, like bar none, like for sure. And I haven't even finished it. Like I'm like 30 hours in and I'm like on chapter 3 still. But like it's one of those things where like I want to do literally everything that game has to offer. Like it's such a that game is such a like masochistic experience for me, because you just have those it's like, oh, go to the like there's always that one place on a map where you don't want to go to deliver
mm-hmm.
And then they're like, hey, that place you just came from, gotta go back. And I'm like, no. But when you deliver that package, it just gives you that level of like ecstasy that I'm just like, I love this game. I love this game. I'm so sorry. I totally gave up on the swearing thing.
It's all right.
you know? So, and at this point, like, I really want to play it. Like, honestly, like, I want to almost drop, outside of one game, I want to drop, like, everything that I'm playing right now and just play through Death Stranding. But I'm just praying for a PS5 upgrade. Like, I want... Like,
I think the rumor mill has been churning that for a bit.
Like, I know, and it's just like, please just announce it, because I'm not crazy about the DualSense. I think it's definitely like a major improvement on Sony's controllers, because I've always thought like DualShock, it's not great. But this is the game where, like, give me that DualSense haptic feedback. Give me that when it comes to, like, the walking and the balancing.
Especially when you're...
Yes.
Balancing and the triggers. You could really do some interesting stuff with the tension there.
100%. Please give that to me. So I want to stream it all, but it's just like, but I missed that one game, so I don't know if I want to. But I kind of do, because it's, like, my first time playing those games. And I don't know. I like streaming games that... I'm playing for the first time that aren't like incredibly long games, because like right now I'm playing through, like,
especially the Metroid games. You can be in a few. You could beat them in a night.
Yeah,
you really, especially Fusion, Zero Mission, even Super Metroid. Those are one night games.
Yeah, they're not very long, and because right now I'm playing through the Legend of Heroes series, which is a super slept on at this point. Like, now that I've played it, like, super slept on JRPG series, like. Oh my god! Like so there are technically. Sorry, I just want to make sure I do the math right. There's technically 14 games in the series that have come that are like that are stateside. I would say specifically, but you don't have to start from the beginning. You can start with Legend of Heroes 6, which is Trails in the Sky, and it's a trilogy.
Okay.
And I'm currently on the second game of the Trails in the Sky trilogy. And then there's a duology that never came out west, but it does have a unofficial localization that has been highly complimented from the Western audiences, the Western community. And then there's, which most people probably have heard of, Trails of Cold Steel. And that series, that's a quadrology that just ended with Trails in the Sky 4 that came out last year. And, you know, Scott and someone else at DualShockers, his name's Chris, they both, like, were saying, like, yo, play this game, like, the series, it's so good. And, man, were they, like, they were so right. Like I think that by the time I'm done with this series, it might be my favorite JRPG series after Kingdom Hearts. Like, and I'm only 2 games in. Like, that's how good it is. If you, like, care about world building and characters and, like, things like that, it is definitely the JRPG series for you. It is so good. It's so well written. Like, all the side quests feel like they matter because they build upon the world. So yeah, the trilogy specifically, you can play it on Steam. It's really the only way you can play the full trilogy. The duology, you have to get swifty and do some, like, Japanese online shopping to get those downloads. And then the Cold Steel series is on PS4, and 3 and 4 on Switch, but play them on PS4.
Play them on PS4.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So that series I'm really I'm very happy about. But anyway, another tangent aside, collections. Yeah.
I get like a weird. I don't think it's weird actually. I get immense satisfaction finding and completing things.
Yep.
Like, especially what you were talking earlier, having things in the box complete. I did that with the Zelda games on GameCube. I bought a buddy of mine gave me the Ocarina of Time game, but just the disc, and so I had to buy the box and the manual separately, and then the GameCube
one,
you piecemeal.
The GameCube one, or the
with Master Quest.
Yeah, oh, that's dope.
Yeah, and one time I got lucky on Goodwill's auction site and found a busted 360. For whatever reason, it had Twilight Princess with it.
Okay.
And I snatched that for $7 on the GameCube. Twilight Princess on the GameCube. But the disc was scratched and wouldn't load past naming your horse. I actually just got that disc resurfaced. But before that, my in-laws bought me the game loose. So, I'm used to piecemealing things.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I just feel really good about it. And you've got a ton of stuff. I've got a ton of stuff. I feel like we're very alike in that way. And there's a thrill of the hunt. You know, you're out, you're on eBay.
100%.
Ooh, I could win this. I can win this.
It's
and then you're
dangerous
like, oh, I didn't want to spend that much.
It's dangerous too, though, because you spend a lot of money. Like, you spend a lot of money.
You got to be willing to say no and like know when to
wait,
like to max your bid.
See, here's the thing. I'm very much not. I very, very rarely bid on things when I do my collecting. I very much am like, buy it now. Is the price good? Best offer. All right, let's try and get the best offer in.
I try to do that too. It's I remember I got the Famicom Game Boy Micro, and I had bid I think $110. I was like, surely someone will outbid me, and then I won't feel bad about spending $110. And then I got the email that said I won, and I was like, crap. But I love it, and I love having a Game Boy Micro, so it all panned out.
I do have a question for you because I don't know. I feel like you would have probably jumped on this if. Did you like do all the Shantae stuff when it hit limited run?
No, because I've never played Shantae.
See, I haven't either, but I did do it. I was one of the because I've just heard really good things about Shantae. I listened to the music and I was like, man, the music in this series, banging, really good. And so I just heard that they're like generally like good games, like, you know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, all of them are coming to Switch. Granted, like one of them, which I did have to pay like more money than I wanted to, already did get a limited run release, which was like a Pirate's Curse, I believe, for Switch. And I'm like, okay, like, but like all, like the thing is like all of these games are on Switch. All of these games are getting steelbooks for it, and I'm a big steelbook guy.
Me too.
I was just like, and it was the first game they were doing the Game Boy Color like stuff, and I was just like, I definitely need to
that's the one I almost did get, was the Game Boy Color one, because that game is super expensive.
Yeah, that's the one.
But they're selling it at Best Buy as well.
Oh, they are?
Because limited run games sometimes go to Best Buy, and that apparently is one of them. So I think I'm just going to snack the regular version of that at Best Buy whenever that comes out.
So I had to buy the collector's editions because the thing like that's cool about limited runs, a lot of their stuff isn't that expensive. You know what I mean? Like the collector's editions are like fairly priced. So I had to buy the collector's edition for Shantae on Switch. I bought the normal like just standard edition of the Game Boy version. Then I bought the collector's edition for Switch, and then as well as Risky's Revenge. And then I had to buy, or Half Genie Hero was published by someone else, so that got a reprint, which was awesome because that was another game that I was like looking at beforehand on eBay to try and get a copy of before they announced the reprint, and I was just like, man, this is another game I just do not want to spend that much money on. But when they did the reprint, I'm like, awesome, this is $35 now. So I ordered the reprint, and I had to go on eBay and buy the collector's edition for Seven Sirens or whatever as well, which is like the most recent Shantae game, and that wasn't bad actually. Someone was selling it for basically almost the same price that it originally was on limited run, so that wasn't too bad either. But yeah, so like once everything comes in, I'll have like all of the Shantae games on Switch. Because the thing is, it's just like nice. I'm investing heavily on Switch as a console. Like I believe that moving forward, like whatever the next main console for Nintendo is going to be, I 100% think it's going to be backwards compatible for Switch. I think it would be insane if it isn't, like absolutely insane. And if it isn't, I'm going to be very upset.
most Nintendo consoles, home consoles, are not backward compatible, but the Switch is so weird because it's a hybrid. So
Wii U, Wii GameCube, like
it was, and that's it.
I mean,
NES,
but
Super
like,
Nintendo, N64.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and now Switch.
Because like, here's the thing with like Switch and Wii U, it's like that. You know, it was just a bit. It was just
that can't happen.
Yeah, it can't happen. And they ported most of the games that actually matter on the Wii U onto Switch already. So I think it is going to be backwards compatible. So I'm cool with that. That's why, as you can see, like I've got a big red stack of games. Those are all Switch games. Are
you a big physical person? Or do you...
For Nintendo, yes, I am. For like Nintendo consoles, knowing their history, yes, I am. Because they underprint their games, and the value always stays up, and it's just like you gotta go physical. And it's, I don't know, for me it's easier. I know some people are just like, oh, I'd just rather download the games that are there. I would rather just take the 2 seconds to switch out the cart and I'm good, you know what I mean?
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and there's something just cool about having the carts. Like it's just like one of those, like, maybe it's just growing up as a Game Boy kid. You're just like, man, I love carts.
I love them. I still have a sealed copy of Cooking Mama.
Oh, that one game,
Star.
that one game that like got
Yes. Decided to buy that from the publisher or developer, whichever one was.
How much is it going for now?
I think it's stayed the same. It hasn't changed, but
maybe in time.
Do you? So the value of the games. So like I have up on my shelf, I have a mostly sealed copy of Ocarina of Time on the N64.
What?
Just the end with the flap. Right, and so that's fairly valuable. But I don't really ever plan on selling that. Do you sell your stuff, or do you get the same thrill I do? It's like, this is valuable.
Yeah, no, I keep my like, why would you? Why no? Like, okay, there's a time where there'll probably be a time where I'm like, there's definitely been times in my life where I'm like, I need money. You know what I mean? Like, I need money. I gotta like sell some things. And that's just life, you know what I mean? Like I can always buy those things back later. Like, there are obviously things that I will never sell, and I'm just, because I just like know that if I sell them, like, I might not be able to find it again. Like, for example, like so what this is it's for those that are listening, because you can't see it. So during so Square Enix has their Play Kai Arts line, or they still have it, but Kingdom Hearts does Bring Arts now, which are like smaller figures, which I have all of them, and there's a lot of them. They're all like over here. Like, you see, like, there are these boxes that are on top of, like, those are all Bring Arts figures. Anyway, so they, for Kingdom Hearts Play Arts, they did obviously like a bunch of Kingdom Hearts 2 characters, including like just Sora. But along with Sora, just the general like black outfit Sora, they did a limit form version and a final form version. And the final form version is not easy to find, and it's not. I would say that it's not easy to find, but it is expensive. Like, I do not want to say on this podcast how much I spent for this. That's how expensive it was.
I believe it.
But yeah, it would. Let's just say this. Like, this was on my eBay watch list before, like, by the time I was in, like, going to college in 2013, and then I bought it last year. Like, that's how long I've been waiting to get this. And so I spent I'm not gonna say but like I went on eBay to see, all right, let's see how much this is, and there was only one listing for it, and they said it was pre-owned, but they said that it's only been out of box literally to take pictures, and I'm like, you just gotta take what you can get, And here's the thing, it doesn't. They say that it was opened. It doesn't even look opened. It looks brand new. Like, there's the sticker here. It hasn't been cut or anything, and it doesn't look like that it was like replaced either.
Peeled.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's brand new. So I do have the normal and the limit form version as well, but those, again, like, aren't that expensive. Like, they're basically like how much you would pay for a normal Play Kai Art, because most Play Kai Art figures, for those that don't know, probably sit between $160 to $200. Yeah, so this was not that. But yeah, so this isn't like my favorite piece in my collection, I would say, but it is definitely one that I cherish the most, I would say.
I'm familiar with that feeling. There's some things you're just like, yeah, I'm glad I still have this. Like, I have the Metroid Prime trilogy on Wii.
Oh, you do?
In the steel case still.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I just remember buying it at GameStop.
What a win.
I still have the sleeve and the manual. And
what a win.
I've just never gotten rid of it.
What a win. So I don't remember who, speaking of which, just completely unrelated to collections, but regarding Metroid Prime trilogy. So so from what I've heard through the grapevine, is that Nintendo has been sitting on that for a while.
I believe it.
Nintendo's been sitting on their Switch Prime trilogy for a while. It's done. They just haven't released it because Metroid Prime 4 got delayed indefinitely.
Makes sense.
So just expect.
All I'm saying is it's Metroid's 35th too.
Exactly.
You could throw us a bone.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what people want. Like it's one of the most wanted things on Switch is the Metroid Prime trilogy. Granted, for me, I want Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn because come on, have you looked at like even a general price?
Saw a complete in-box copy of
Path of Radiance,
the GameCube one.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
$280.
Yeah. Reprint it. Like I don't even care if it's a emulation like you did for 3D All Stars. Just put it on Switch. Like, I don't know. Okay, here's something that I'm actually curious about, just because we kind of like, I don't know, we're kind of like one of those people that think about value a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Were you upset that like 3D All Stars was $60?
No,
a lot of people were.
A lot of people are upset whenever a game gets remade and is full price. To me, is $60 is $60, and it's $20 per game.
Yeah, that's and thank you. That's what I was saying.
$20 per game. You get them on Switch in HD.
It was like, yeah,
that's enough for me.
Exactly. Thank you, Max. Oh my god, I'm glad we're on the same page there.
And I like having it on the shelf. You know, I like having that game next to Odyssey and 3D World and all that stuff.
Here's the thing, like, again, like, we were talking about, like, not buying things just to sell later. I might buy a second copy of 3D All-Stars.
Was tempted as well.
I might do it.
Because no one knows what they're going to do. Is this a Disney Vault situation and they're going to just bring it back out, or are they going to split them up? And
I think they'll split them up.
$10 each.
I think they'll split them up and they're going to sell them digitally, but I don't think we're going to get a separate physical release. I definitely don't think. Could you
imagine?
There's no way.
They put them out physically, separately.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They wouldn't do that.
Mm-mm.
So,
but it'd be fun. Is it Play Arts or Kai Arts?
What was it? Play Kai Arts.
Play Kai Arts. There we go. Your Statue of Sora kind of brings me, and it ties into collecting as well, because arguably Kingdom Hearts for me was one of the things that really got me into collecting. And you and I
got Kingdom Hearts collection stuff to show off?
Not a ton of stuff. I did the typical things. Just
you're one of those people that once you play Kingdom Hearts 3 and your heart was torn, you destroyed everything. You're like, I hate it. Like it was like a bad breakup, and you're just like, I hate Kingdom Hearts. I hate Kingdom Hearts.
The closest is I've thought about selling it, and then I realized I would hate myself if I did that. So I haven't sold anything. Here's
the thing with I don't want to get deep into this conversation, because this was the conversation I was dreading to have during this podcast. Like,
I think it's gonna be good.
Like, I don't know how much you hated Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm not gonna like pretend that like I was like that Kingdom Hearts 3 met expectations for me. It didn't. It didn't meet expectations for anyone. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it was impossible.
Not even that it was impossible, but I was just like, if you actually like look at the behind the scenes development of that game, like Nomura was kind of like in a situation, like, granted, like not even with the Disney stuff, or not even with like the original story stuff, that's something that is Nomura's fault. But like the Disney stuff, like he was basically like, he did not have the flexibility that he got with Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Like, he just didn't, because he had a different...
I believe that.
You know what I mean? Have you not heard any of this stuff?
No.
So, like, with Frozen, right? He wanted, like, Elsa to be a boss fight at some point.
Yeah, they would never...
And they were like, no, I can't do that. Yeah, but...
all she can do is sing Let It Go.
And, like, they said, like, oh, you can do Toy Story, but then you have to do this. Like, they didn't give him the freedoms of the Disney worlds, like, that, you know, that in the past that he previously had. That's why, like, most of, like, the worlds were just kind of like the movie. Here you go. Like, it was very, like, bland in that sense. So it's one of those things, like, part of it is, I do think, like, a lot, not all, but a lot of the issues of Kingdom Hearts 3 were Disney's fault and not Square's and Nomura's.
Yeah.
But I do,
believe that.
but I do believe, like, you know, again, there are some things that Nomura decided, like, shows on that, which I'm sure is the stuff that you were more heartbroken about, that I agree, like, again, like, yeah. So
Really, I don't hate it. I don't hate the game. I don't hate the series. I ham it up online. It just, you look at, I just thought the wrap up wasn't, it didn't,
it was a soft
earn
reboot.
itself.
They did a soft reboot at the end of a 15-year saga. Like, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
I
just felt like Xehanort got off far too easy.
100%.
Just like, ho hum, let's go walk into the light.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't agree with this.
Yeah, the ending was very anime tropey, 100%. And I agree that, like, Xehanort, here's the thing with Xehanort, like, I understood, like, here's the thing with Xehanort that, like, I personally, maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but, like, I know that Xehanort is a villain, or, like, he's a bad guy, but, like, I understood where he was coming from, like, his point of view, his mentality, that,
right.
like, I didn't really see him as, like, this super evil force that needed to, like, die, like, you know what I mean, like, that needed to be, like, destroyed,
right.
but more like,
he's just,
hey, you need to, like, recognize what you're doing is wrong. Like, does that make sense? And I think,
yeah, I agree with that. It's, I was even on board, because really, Xehanort himself really comes into focus in Birth by Sleep.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
where you see him and all that stuff. And even in Dream Drop, when the whole time travel thing, I was on board. I was like, yeah, time travel. Oh, this is awesome.
For me, I was just like, I was just like, this is potentially problematic.
I like time travel.
I do, but, like, you can, but it's very hard to get right. It's very hard to get right.
And I don't think they got it right.
Nope, they did not.
And it's unfortunate. It's really the moment that, like,
here's one thing I actually want to ask you really quick. Did you play the Remind DLC?
the new stuff.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Because I was so upset.
Here's the thing, because and a lot of people agree that I've talked to feel this way as well. Because I went on to a podcast for Rational Passions where we basically ranked all the Kingdom Hearts games, and we got to Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, gosh.
And once we got to Kingdom Hearts 3, which I don't agree to the same degree, but, like, Alex O'Neill, I don't know if you know who he is,
yeah.
But he basically said that when the Remind DLC came out, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 is, like, on the same level as Kingdom Hearts 2 for him, which I disagree with. But what I would say is that Kingdom Hearts, or the Remind DLC, one, very much shows that Kingdom Hearts 3 should have came out later. Like, the Remind DLC,
I wonder if they'll ever do a final mix.
I don't think they will. Now that DLC is a thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
The moments that happen in the Remind DLC, because the thing that sucks about the Remind DLC is, like, the first half of it is basically a retrend of, like, the first half of the Keyblade Graveyard stuff.
Yeah, that was my understanding. It took place in that time period.
The second half is, like, that super great earned fan service that we wanted at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. That's what the Remind DLC is in the second half. Like, there were moments that, like, I was literally popping off, like, while I was playing the game. I had chills. I was like, this is what I wanted. Like, this is what I wanted. And, like, there was one mission where there was one moment where, like, I was, like, on the verge of tears. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is absolutely amazing. And it really does justice for Kairi as well, because I know that was, like, one of the big things, like, oh, she's a damsel in distress again. Like, they fix that, I think, in a way that makes sense in the way that Kingdom Hearts does. Because, you know, like, Kingdom Hearts is a lot of a lot of visual, like a lot of the battles are like visual, like metaphors. You know what I mean? Like when like Sora fights Roxas, you know, in his heart in Kingdom Hearts 2, and like there's basically a battle. Yeah, I know, so good. There's like a battle with without going into story spoilers. There's a battle with like Kyrie and Sora, Kyrie and Sora against Xehanort. And then and the way that they do it, for it to double back to the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3 proper with Trinity, is very well done in Kingdom Hearts fashion. So honestly, like, I highly recommend you go into the Remind DLC and just basically expect the first half to be a retrend of the organization fights you know, but you can play as different characters now. You can play as Riku, which is great for me because I love Riku, and that was one of my big issues with Kingdom Hearts 3, is that they do not give Riku the respect that he deserved. Especially after Dream Drop. Like, come on now.
They didn't give a lot of characters I feel like you should have been able to play as the respect they deserved.
That's fair. And then like you can play as Roxas when you know, during that fight. Yeah.
All hail Roxas.
yeah. Roxas. I'm sorry. This is so good. But yeah, I highly recommend it. Okay.
I'm totally open to it, and eventually I feel like I'll play, you know, you get that itch to go and play the games again, and I'm sure that'll happen eventually. It just really, the moment that broke me was when Sora died, and you just see all the usernames from Chi.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I don't want Bon Ripper 420 to save the day.
What? No, that was awesome. That was an awesome moment.
The usernames is what, just like, no, I get the idea of Chi and where it sits narratively and actually what those characters represent. Like, that's fine. But just bringing the it's like,
I get what you're saying, and like bringing in the like a mobile game to the end of, you know, for Kingdom Hearts 3. I get that.
Just up front, and I also think in context of people who aren't like us and have played those games. I made a Japanese iTunes account to play it when it launched in Japan. Like, I've done my time. I get it. I understand where the narrative is, but there are people who played Kingdom Hearts 2 and then just played 3. They didn't do all the remakes or
that's
even
their fault,
2.8.
That's their fault.
It is.
Like, you know, for those like, I can't tell you, like, for like at least the year leading up to its release, just people saying like, do I need to play? Like, yes, you need to like, come on, you're talking about this game gets trashed all the time about its convoluted story, when it's just like literally everyone who says that at this point, it was just someone, I don't even know. Like, I have played games with way more confusing stories than Kingdom Hearts, like way more. Like, I recently played 13 Sentinels like last year, and I enjoyed that game, but I could not give you the lowdown on what that, like, on like beat for beat story points, because I'm just like, I didn't fully understand it. Like, I got the gist, but I didn't fully understand it. But I feel like that if you play all the Kingdom Hearts games outside of the mobile game, because you don't really need to, maybe in the future you might have to, based off what they're doing. But like, I think
could see you not needing to play Recoded.
Yeah, sure.
You definitely need to play
everything else.
358/2 and Dream Drop.
Yeah.
And Chain.
Yeah.
Like, you do. Birth by Sleep.
Yeah. And those are mostly, like, there's side games, but most, like, here's the thing. Like, the only bad Kingdom Hearts game I think that exists is Coded. Like, I think all the other ones are at least good. Like, for me. You know what I mean? And I
love the deck building in Chain of Memories.
It's so good. Thank you.
It's the most fun.
So many people. Here, I don't want to be one of those guys, but like, I honestly think that if you don't like Chain of Memories, or you play Shattered Memories and you didn't like it, it's because you didn't understand the deck building. I honestly believe that.
I grew up on like the Game Boy playing Battle Network, Mega Man Battle Network 3.
Yeah.
And that's chip deck building with chips. It's the same mentality. You have to build your deck and customize it.
I really hope that series gets ported to Switch because I've never played those games and I want to.
I've only played the third entry. I was going to say 3, but I haven't played 3 of them. And then a buddy growing up had like 4 and 6, and I dabbled. They're really good. I actually, because I ported all those saves over, I looked at my Battle Network 3 white save, 90 hours. When did I have this much time as a child? But I digress. It's very good. I do hope they make the comeback because they're great.
Yeah.
I love the deck building. And personally, my favorite is Birth by Sleep. I'm a sucker for prequels, so anytime you're setting up the backstory, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And I love Aquaven and Terra, and their different fighting styles and structures and 100%. Magic. And I conveniently, I didn't look this up beforehand when I played it on PSP, but I conveniently saved Aqua for last. I did Venterra Aqua, which I think, and then you go into the final chapter and it's just
so
and it
so good.
it answers the thing, the teaser at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix.
Yes.
Like it puts you there.
It's so good.
So good.
I tweeted about this like the other day. Like during that time with Kingdom Hearts 2 with that secret movie, nothing was more hype. Nothing in gaming was more hype than that trailer. You're just like, what is going on?
Why are there so many Keyblades? Who are these
Why does he look like Roxas? It was so good. It was so good. Oh my god. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive.
Really? I love Kingdom Hearts. I think I was more disappointed with 3 than I thought I would be, and that really just kind of bummed me out a lot.
No,
and I haven't played since.
Yeah, no, very much. Again, like I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is still a plenty good game. Like I think people like
gameplay's great. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, like I think some of my issues like in general, like game's a little too easy. I think that they should have. I know that it's a new Kingdom Hearts game, so they traditionally do new mechanics, but I think Kingdom Hearts 2 with like the different forms was like the way they did the different forms was like perfect. And I think that the way that they did it with the Keyblade transformations, it just made the game a little bit too easy. I feel like I don't know. I also just feel like that the enemies and like just the combat wasn't as intuitive as Kingdom Hearts 2. I don't know. But I still think it was still a plenty good game, despite its missteps. A lot of people like to. Kingdom Hearts is just like the fucking poop stain that people like to make it in the gaming industry, like the gaming.
It's easy to point at
it sucks.
and make fun of, especially if you
don't know anything about it.
All you've played is 1 and 2. Really easy.
Yeah, like there are some people I know that jokingly pretend that Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't exist because of how they felt about Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm just like, that's just stupid. Like,
no, it exists. Yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah, so
it's also easy to make fun of it, all of it, for the naming conventions.
Yeah,
especially when you get
fair.
to
That's fair. But no, like Kingdom Hearts
1.5.
Kingdom Hearts has one. Like, I still think like as it goes along, Kingdom Hearts has like one of the best like stories in video games.
It has really great moments. It really does.
It
didn't stick the landing.
It didn't stick the landing. But
so where do they go? Because there's the secret teaser video at the end of 3.
Yeah, did you play Melody of Memory?
No.
Oh, so there is a cutscene at the end of Melody of Memory that basically sets up the next game.
Oh, interesting.
Here's the thing, like it's very Kingdom Heartsy to say the least. It's basically you find out like the name of the city that Sora and Riku are in. which I think is called Quadratum. I think that's the name of the city. Very
Quad.
Very very Kingdom Heartsy. And basically like how Riku, it shows like Riku traveling there basically, and then like how one thing really cool, Kairi's training under Aqua now. Like basically like Master Sid was like, hey, like
come on,
I know, let's go.
That's awesome. Why is that not at 3?
Well, because he was training with Ed and Sid, and he had the time thingy. It was just like, I don't know. But yeah, it was just one of those things where he was like, "Oh, you want to continue your training?" And then she's like, "Actually, I want to train under Master Aqua." And he said like, "That's a great idea. You should do that." So that's what she's I guess doing while Riku's trying to find and save Sora. Because here's the thing with this next Kingdom Hearts game, because this is my issue with Dream Drop Distance, and me and my friend talked about like this at length. Dream Drop Distance should have been a Riku game, Riku only game. Like Sora's stuff could have been there without actually playing as Sora, and because at the end of the day, that story is about Riku.
Yes, absolutely.
But they had to put Sora in there because it's Sora, and I'm like, I hate that. Like, give Riku his own game. He is a relevant enough character. Riku's my favorite video game character. Period. You know what I mean? So like, it's just like for me, it's like give him his own game. He deserves it. He like and so a lot of people are theorizing that this next Kingdom Hearts game is going to be basically Dream Drop Distance 2, where you, not particularly where it's the same mechanics, but you switch between Sora and Riku.
I mean, I'd be down.
So
I'd be fine with that. But Riku Riku does deserve a game, especially because he got the end of Chain of Memories.
Yeah,
and then,
which is so good. Like,
and then Dream Drop.
I really want I don't think I've told anyone. I don't think I've. Well, I know that you don't know, but I haven't told many people this. But like obviously, I've said on Twitter all the time, like I want Tetsuya Nomura to sign my arm because I want to get tattooed.
Yes.
But on my other arm, I want Way to the Dawn tattooed on my arm. But like, which is Riku's Kingdom Hearts 2 Keyblade. Because the reason why Riku's my favorite character is because like I see him through me. Growing up, I had like a lot of like anger and things like that. And to this day, I actually do. It's just like I've just kind of like learned to rebuild myself and just suppress it. And that's basically like what Riku goes through, and that's why I really connect with his character. So literally his Keyblade is like it evolved into a Keyblade, like his weapon evolved into a Keyblade. So it's like a representation of his character and his character development, which is why I really want that tattooed on myself as well. Yeah, collections, after a 30-minute Kingdom Hearts 3 conversation.
Well, I was just I just have all the games complete in box. The one I missed was the Dream Drop Distance collector's set.
Mark of Mastery edition?
Yeah,
wait,
thank you.
Do you have 1.5, 2.5, like the limited edition?
Yep.
Dude,
and the box.
That's the one thing I need. And I'm just like, wait, hold on. Is your Kingdom Hearts 2, like your OG Kingdom Hearts 1, is it sealed with Black Label?
No, none of it's sealed.
Oh, you don't have it sealed, okay. So those are the two things that I really am missing. I'm missing Kingdom Hearts Black Label, and I sealed. I would like it sealed. And then I need the 1.5, 2.5 limited edition because I want that pin.
I remember buying that. I was in a parking lot.
So limited. It was so limited, and I'm just like, I have 2.8. I have the 2.5 steelbook. Like
I know.
It's
the
so much money.
Steelbook's nice, by the way.
It's so much money.
Is it really?
Yes.
I haven't looked it up.
It's like $300. It's absurd, and I'm like, it's because of the pin, though. It's because the pin. It's official Disney pin.
Those darn pin collectors. Do you want to hear something that'll make you really sad or mad or maybe happy?
What?
We live in Florida. We had Disney passes back when we were dating, we had these pin collars, and we trade and stuff. I did not trade them. I would never do that. But when we left for our honeymoon, her family moved all of her stuff to our new apartment, and we can't find our pins. So those 2 Kingdom Hearts pins, I still have the 2.8 one. I don't know where they are. I don't know.
Dang.
It's lost to the wind.
That really
sucks.
Well, because I know that
I still have the steel case, which is what I care about.
So the 2.5 pin you can actually get as a like reward on the Square Enix store. So so that's how I got the 2.5 pin. But I need the 1.5. I need the 1.5, 2.5 pin. My Kingdom Hearts 3 pins are still in my deluxe edition because I'm basically like I like to collect pins, but I don't have like a place to put them. Like I don't have like a wall or anything like that. So I'm kind of waiting until we move into an apartment and stuff like to get that. I recently got the Mario 35th anniversary. I got the second set. I didn't get the first set, unfortunately. So I'll probably buy those on eBay eventually. But
they look good. I got them up on my shelf over there.
Nice. You got both sets?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
This is long.
Yeah, so show me what's your most prized possession? Show me your most prized possession in your collection.
Probably that Zelda game I was talking about.
Okay.
Because it's sealed and all nice and in great shape.
What other cool things do you have?
I've got my Wind Waker Wii U still, and on the box and all that stuff. I've got the Master Edition of Breath of the Wild.
The Wind Waker is a themed GameCube? Like the GameCube is themed?
Wii U.
Oh, Wii U. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. That was the Wii U I bought when they were new, and then I sold it to get a Switch. College needed money, and then I finally rebought it for $80 at a GameStop.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Now it's hard. One thing I'm super happy with is that I have all of the Fire Emblem Collector's Editions. I have Fates, I have Shadows of Valentia, I have Three Houses, I got the 30th anniversary one, and then I got Warriors as well. I have them all, that was like at launch. Like I didn't have to like pay anything extra because I know that the Fates one specifically was super limited. Like it was only like because when I pre-ordered it at GameStop, I think they said that they had like 2 per store, like something like
what's
ridiculous
the one
like
on
that.
Switch? Three Houses.
Three Houses, yeah.
I have that one.
Yeah,
I've got
here's the thing. They always like the Fire Emblem Collector's Editions are always so good. Like they always come with an art, like a big art book, which is just awesome. Except for Fates. Fates doesn't, but that's different. But like Shadows of Valentia, art book. Three Houses, art book. 30th anniversary, art book. Like so cool. And then I bought the art book for Fire Emblem Awakening, which is one of my favorite games ever. Like I think it's my 5th favorite game of all time. Super great game. Have you played Awakening?
Yeah, that was my first Fire Emblem game.
What a masterpiece. Like I legitimately think that like I think that game has one of the best endings to a video game. Like, so good. Anyway, Awakening is the best 3DS game. It's the best game that originally launched on the 3DS, if you ask me. My buddy Brendan, again, he's a big Zelda guy, so he thinks it's Link Between Worlds. But personally, I think it's
a great game.
Oh, I've heard it's great, but I think it's Awakening. I haven't played it, but like, as a until I do play it, it's Awakening.
Awakening, I can see it. I've got like the Spice Orange Japanese GameCube complete with the whole.
Oh, really?
The Game Boy player and the controller and the Game Boy Advance.
That's sexy. I have the box.
Yeah.
I don't have the system, but I have the box for the Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness GameCube because I had it as a kid, but I sold it at some point, but I still have the box. It was in my garage when I was clearing out my childhood home, and I was just like, "You're coming back up with me." And I have a box for my OG PS2.
Nice.
I don't have the system, but I have the box. It's still cool.
You can always go buy a PS2. They're cheap.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about what else is cool that I got. Like my Pokemon Crystal box is like complete. Is like definitely one of my pride and joys.
Absolutely.
I got both Xenoblade games collector's editions. I got the UK one for definitive edition because it came with the vinyl, with the Monado.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hit up my my friend in the UK, and I was just like, "Yo, can I pre-order this and send it to your house, and then you can send it to me?" And she was willing to do it. Unfortunately, the art book was like, for some reason, in really bad shape when I unboxed it. It like kind of slipped out of its place, so a lot of the pages corners were like crunched. So I kind of have to find a replacement for that, because the art book for Definitive Edition is like designed the exact same way as Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So that kind of sucks. Also, part of me wants to buy just the case for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because the collector's edition didn't come with the normal case. It was just the steelbook. So it's weird. So when I have my collection, I have all the Xenoblade Chronicle games except for 2, like in the normal cases, because I bought the physical version of Xenoblade Chronicles Torna Country, which is like the prequel to 2 that counted as DLC for 2, but it's its own game. It's basically like a third game.
The Xenoblade series is wild.
It's good. It's good. You should definitely play it. I really hope Xenoblade Chronicles X comes to Switch, because I've heard very good things about that game.
That's one of the last Wii U ones, right?
That's like, yeah.
Is X the one?
That is like I think that's like the last major one that hasn't been ported yet. I'm sure it's coming though. I'm sure it's coming.
It should.
Yeah. And then when I went to my retro game shop, I bought a Wavebird. They had a Wavebird, and it was like,
got 2 of those.
Yeah, it was like in pristine condition. So
Wavebird is my favorite controller of all time. I love my Wavebird.
Honestly, depending on the day, I'm with you. It's definitely for me. It's definitely between the Xbox Series Elite 2, the Elite Series 2, or the GameCube controller, for sure, 100%. But yeah, and then other things. I mean, I got the new Mario Switch. Very happy about that.
I'm just hoping they don't put out a Zelda one right before they announce whatever the Switch Pro is.
That's why my friend didn't get the Mario one, because he's hoping that they're going to do a Zelda one, and I'm like, I hope you're right. And then I don't know if you saw this recently on my on your timeline on Twitter, but I got the official Pokeballs.
I did see those.
They're so good. They're so good. Like, I feel like this much cooler for owning them. You know, it's one of those things.
It's like, yeah, I have the E3 2017. I think it would have been 2016. 2016 was when they did Breath of the Wild, and I think it was 16. Anyway, that was the big Breath of the Wild year, and Brendan Graber, IGN, the Wikis guy, he grabbed me one of the Zelda coins and mailed it to me. And it's different than the coin that came with the Master Edition.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Both. Yeah, so I have both Breath of the Wild coins. Never been to E3, but I have very little E3 merch.
That's cool.
It's nice.
Yeah, and then like,
I like my Zelda
last
shelf.
things to nerd out about: Kingdom Hearts 3 PS4 Pro.
So you did get that.
I did get it. Yes, mine did not get canceled. Thank God.
Good deal.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 PS4 Pro. It will forever be there chilling. And then I recently got the Hardy Daytona. I think you might have saw that for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
the bike thing.
That went by. Yeah, that went back in stock the day before my birthday. So I was just like, rip my credit card. The Stimmy's coming. I'm gonna buy this. So because the thing is, like, I did have it pre-ordered. I had the first class edition pre-ordered, but it got close to PAX East, and I needed the money, so I had to cancel my pre-order.
Right.
So this was this
similar situation with me in the whatever edition of Kingdom Hearts 3, the one with all the statues.
Yeah, and then one E3, they did the Funko booth had like a treasure chest. It was like the treasure chest from Kingdom Hearts, and it came with a shirt. And so I have a somewhat official Kingdom Hearts chest, which is really, really cool. Hey. I have like all the official. I don't have all, and that's a long story, but I have all but one of the official Kingdom Hearts plushes, like that are from Square Enix. The only one I don't have is the Nobody plush, because it came out like 8 years ago, and I'm not joking, on eBay, $1,500.
What?
$1,500. So I found someone on Etsy who did who tried to do a reproduction of that specific plush, and I just said, "This is the best I'm gonna get." So I bought that. It hasn't come in yet. I found that out like a few weeks ago, actually. So I was just like, I begrudgingly bought it, and I was like, okay. But yeah, some of them I had to buy from Japan though. Like it's hard to see, but the Unverse plush at the very end right there, I had to buy that from Japan. I had to buy the Chirithy. My fiance bought the Chirithy one for me for Valentine's Day. That came from Japan. So there are some that I had to buy because the Unversed one specifically never came to the States. It only released in Japan. So that one I had to but the Chirithy one was in the US, but I just bought it too late before it left the store. So I had to pay a little bit more than I normally than its actual price was, but I still have it, so I'm happy.
That's the struggle of being a hardcore collector and a Kingdom Hearts fan.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's so much Kingdom Hearts stuff that's again in this might be one of my favorite. I'm still not entirely sure, but this might be my favorite thing out of my entire collection of everything, which I'll show you in a second. So these,
I remember seeing you tweet about these.
Yeah. So these are the Winnie the Pooh Kingdom Hearts books. There's one for each game.
They look so nice.
It's so good. So they're technically just cases that you just open. Hold on, I'm trying not to. So but
it's
they still look and display very, very nicely. These were only only released in Japan. My fiance got them for me as a gift, and because Winnie the Pooh is Toy Story is my favorite movie, but Winnie the Pooh is my favorite Disney property. I love Winnie the Pooh. I grew up with Winnie the Pooh, before I grew up with Toy Story. So Winnie the Pooh just holds a very special place in my heart. And so I was when I saw these, I told her about them, and then she got them for me, and I was just I'm nice. Very, very happy to have these. Yeah, these might be my favorite thing in my collection, just because of just the sentimental,
what they represent.
What they
how
represent.
you feel about them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what collections are for. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to chat about.
I think that's it. We really kind of hit everything I wanted to talk about with you, because like you said at the top of the show, we've never actually really sat down and talked, especially one-on-one. We've never done a one-on-one shot. We always just tweet back and forth and maybe have been on a call with a bunch of other people together. This is fun. I had a really good time talking with you, Cam.
Yeah, this was great. I love talking. I don't know. Yeah, I was really curious as to how this conversation would go, and I'm really happy. I didn't think it was gonna go bad per se or anyway, but I just didn't know where.
Well, given our public past of disagreeing and Kingdom Hearts in particular, I could understand the nervousness, but in the end, we both just really care about something.
Yeah,
and we had a really great conversation about it, and that's what I'm trying to do on this show. So to wrap it all up, plug away, my friend.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at CamFinalMix, and I stream on Twitch on twitch.tv/CamFinalMix, and I'm on Podcast Unlocked, IGN's Xbox podcast and the number one Xbox podcast in the world, which you can listen to. New episodes normally drop no later than Wednesday every week. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on the show, but regardless, I appreciate you if you would tune in and enjoy us talk all things Xbox.
Sweet. You can find more of my writing over here at maxfrequency.net, or check out more episodes of this podcast in the feed. If you'd like, you can also listen to the history of Naughty Dog that I wrote during the PS4 era.
So
that's called Chasing the Stick.
So that's something I wanted to actually talk to you about. That I just realized, like, I wanted to hear your like history with Naughty Dog and like why you love Naughty Dog so much. I know that we were kind of doing our plugs already, but like that's something I was like, wait a minute, I kind of want to talk about this.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog. So growing up, I didn't have PlayStation. My first PlayStation was a PS3. I may have had a 2 by then, but it was 2010s probably. But the kids across the street, they had PlayStation. That's where I met Crash, Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter, all that stuff. Kingdom Hearts. First saw Kingdom Hearts at a friend's house. That opening cinematic of Kingdom Hearts 1, and I was like, yep, I'm sold. Let's go.
Kingdom Hearts 2 opening,
so
like arguably the best opening to a video game.
It's good stuff.
It's so good.
So always aware of those series. And then I got a PS3 Christmas 2011. It was the Uncharted 3 bundle.
Okay.
And the way my family gave it to me was, it was actually not wrapped at all. They kept amping up my gift. So they had me close my eyes and they put a book in my hand that was wrapped. And I was like, how's a book the big present? Like, what is going to make me so excited? And I opened my eyes, and on the table in front of me is the PS3 with Uncharted. The book was the Uncharted 3 guide, which I have on the shelf down there. Anyway, I went Christmas Day, borrowed Uncharted 1 from a friend's house.
Okay.
And we were busy that day, so I actually didn't play till the 26th. I played through Uncharted 1 on my CRT TV, not even in HD, in one day, one sitting, all of Uncharted. And then over the next few weeks, Uncharted 2 and 3. And then that was also around the time that The Last of Us was initially revealed at the Game Awards that year, that's a fun reveal. They were teasing it and stuff, and it looked good.
That was like the Spike TV Game Awards, right?
Yeah, way back in
the day, yeah.
And then, The Last of Us came out, and Last of Us, I think, is a really, really great game, and just kind of kept building. You had Uncharted 4. I remember PS4 launch night. They teased it, and that was back the Amy Hennig version of 4. 4, Lost Legacy, 2, and so on. And I just really am attached. Like, I remember seeing demos for Uncharted 2 in Target back when game demo kiosks were in stores. And it's the part of Uncharted 2 in the city where you're running, the truck is chasing you, and I had never played a game that put me in the middle of the action like that. And that was their goal, this active cinematic experience, and putting as much of the gameplay and the story on the stick, on the gamepad, which is why I called Chasing the Stick. Sort of a mix of put it on the stick, chasing the dragon, and that. And I just have always been drawn to games that put the narrative and the gameplay in my hands as much as possible, instead of taking things away from me. And that doesn't necessarily translate to an RPG or even a Telltale game where it's choose A, B, or C and move forward, but just make me feel like the character telling the story that you want to tell. And Naughty Dog does that particular thing.
Like, you feel the results of what your actions are without, like, with your simple actions, without it being, like, obvious, like, with it being, like, in your face about it. I get you. Yeah. I definitely think The Last of Us Part 2 does that. Like, that's, like, kind of, like, its goal, right?
It absolutely is. That is the whole goal of the game.
Yeah.
It's really ambitious to do that, especially the switch halfway through. You don't get that a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Arguably, the last time a huge game did that was Metal Gear Solid 2, of like completely switching the protagonist on you and shifting expectations, especially if you didn't have Part 2 spoiled ahead of time. which I thankfully did not. Could tell pretty early, though, that that's kind of where they were going to go. But that's what I've always been drawn to, and the people there and how they do it. And their games are always technically impressive.
Oh, I agree with you.
They always push whatever hardware to the max. And I think they play really well. I, in particular, do really enjoy the stealth in The Last of Us and Uncharted 4 and Part 2 and Lost Legacy to agree. They're fun romps, Uncharted, and I think The Last of Us has the kind of stealth gameplay I like, the stories I'm drawn to, and all that stuff. So I'm drawn to that, and they have a lot of history and stories to tell, and that's what I'm going for here. To share that story with as many people as possible.
That's awesome. You know, like, again, not like, for me, my favorite, like, very unpopular opinion, my favorite, like, Naughty Dog game, like, from Uncharted to now is Uncharted 3. But
it's a great game.
Yeah, I think Uncharted 3 is the best Uncharted.
Oh,
and
it's so good.
Like, and, like, I think, in a very unpopular opinion, like, I really do not like Uncharted 4. Like, I aggressively dislike that game. I just think that the story feels very shoehorned based off of, like, everything that we've known up to that point with Nathan's character. Like, oh, he has a brother now? Okay, sure. Like, you know, like, things like that I was just like, it very much, like, if you take the game for what it is, then sure. But, like, for me, I'm just like, come on now. We would know these things at this point. Like, that's kind of like my issue with it. I think the game goes on for way too long. Like, I'm just like, I feel like 6 chapters of that game could have been cut.
I savor every moment.
No, I'm just, yeah, it's just, it's like, oh, what am I doing in this game right now? I don't know. But, and again, like, I thoroughly, you know, and I notoriously not the biggest fan of The Last of Us, but I do like The Last of Us Part 2. I did like it.
I know you do.
Which is something I would never have expected to, I did not expect that game to be on my top 10 last year.
That's good. I think on some level that shows that they achieved what they were going for. If you know,
here's the thing: I like The Last of Us Part 2 for all the wrong reasons. because for me, I'm one of those people that, like, thinks Joel is the villain. So because here's the thing: if you think about,
he's not a good guy.
Here's the thing: if you think about even, like, if you think about the context outside of the Last of Us story with Joel, like, he has done some super before meeting Ellie. He did some really like throughout the game, and but a lot of people, like, I feel like a lot of people just take what they got and, like, oh, this is Joel, and I'm like, you got to think bigger picture, man. Like, not for you specifically, but for, like, a lot of people,
right? So,
like, when, like, everything that happens to Joel in the second game, I'm like, he had a coming. Are you kidding me? Like, and also just,
I think the point. I mean, everyone's done terrible things.
No. Like, okay,
no,
not to the same degree. Not to the same degree.
Smuggling and murdering people and.
But, like, but here's okay.
Surviving.
But do you think, like, everyone was, like, a raider at some point during that apocalypse?
No, I'm not. I don't have the blanket statement of everyone.
Like, everyone does bad, like, things, but I think
thugs.
I think that people, I don't know. I've never, like, heard, like, feel like someone praise Joel without, like, recognizing his actions, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know.
I think what draws me to Joel is not his past sins or even his current ones, because he's not no one in that world is good or perfect.
No, it's perfect.
But it's his own redemption in a way, like, similar-ish to Arthur Morgan. Arthur's a bad dude, right? Cowboys, rob, murder, beat people. He's nice, takes care of women, but he is a villain in that time. He's an outlaw. And that whole game is about his redemption towards society and this group and
But does Joel
things
have
like that.
redemption? Because I don't think he does. I don't think he does. Because for me, it's just like, I'm one of those people that I'm like, I didn't think Joel was the villain until credits hit. When credits hit, I was just like, oh, I was playing as the bad guy this entire time. That's how I interpreted it. Because I know a lot of people are just like, hey, oh, Ellie didn't give consent, and I'm like, y'all, like, I don't even like this game that much, and I know that Ellie would have 100, like, that's what Ellie would have wanted. Like, and they confirm that in part 2, and that's why I like part 2. It's just like it confirms the things that like I thought were problematic in the first game, which granted, like, maybe some people also found problematic, but like didn't, like, just kind of like was like whatever about it, or that didn't find it problematic. And I was just like, just that entire scene in part 2 where she's just railing on Joel, it was like eating popcorn. I was just like, yes, continue.
He robs her of that choice, and he says even at the end
that
you know,
he wouldn't have changed.
If he could do it all again, he'd do it again. And is that selfish? Yes, but if he was the world too far gone, yes, I think. And if Ellie had died, then the people that she met and influenced later on wouldn't have, that would never have happened. She never would have had this relationship with Dina, the kid, which I can only think of as Potato. Like, there's, you know, her life went on, and is that the life she found meaning in her immunity, and where do you go from that? It's just messy, and it's not so black and white. He's a villain or he's a good guy. He is a man. He's a father, not just to Ellie, but I mean, he's a father. He's a protector. He's a criminal. He's a like, he's all these things, and it's kind of how he comes together at the end. And I like that for him.
Oh, God. I don't know. I can't vibe with like, oh, he's a flawed character because he's a flawed character, and I'm just like, well, yeah, so are a lot of characters. I don't know. I guess just like the way it's executed for like is what makes you find him so compelling. But for me, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like, dog, like, I don't know.
I mean,
it's one, because I really like Ellie. I really like Ellie's character.
Ellie's great.
But I just never liked Joel. Never did. Like, I think it's just because, like, and I get like how they structure it with the narrative, and it's just like, and maybe that's just because like why I'm just like so negative about it. It's just, I see what they're trying to do, and you know, from the get-go they want you to sympathize with this guy who's like not a good guy because of something that happened in his past life. And it's just like, I get what you're trying to do, but that doesn't make up, that doesn't give him a pass. And I don't
think it's a pass. I think it is finding his redemption in some way. I mean, you could keep a tally of everyone he's killed and brutalized and broken rules and so on and so forth. Is everyone redeemable or not? And, you know, maybe he's done too many bad things, and that's, I think, up to each individual person to figure that out. But I think he finds redemption in the end. And it's implied that his time in Jackson, he was a protector or provider to his community, a beloved member of it. People mourned his death, not just Ellie.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on his brother? Like, the final years of his Tommy, the final years of his life, he was a good man, and and that's in part because he saved her life, and I think that's why he would have done it all over again, because he found redemption even in what it resulted in for him personally, and then.
Okay.
Ellie's own revenge story is influenced by that, but separate.
Whole another can of worms.
Yes. And
Okay,
same thing for
interesting.
Abby as well.
Yeah. No, I definitely I will give it that, like, that specifically because of part 2. There's just like so much things to dissect about that game and the characters and the decisions and things like that. And I definitely like give it credit there, and that's why I like the game. It's just like there's just so much to think about and digest with that game. But yeah, I mean, again, like for me, with The Last of Us, it's just like I just feel like that. I don't know, and maybe it's like wrong to compare the games, but like I just feel like a lot of comparisons to Telltale's The Walking Dead, and that's kind of like my Last of Us, is that like I think that like I just liked the, granted, like there had to be trust and things like that with Joel and Ellie, that like, it was a different relationship from the get-go compared to like Lee and Clementine. But I just think that the way that they played with, I think the reason why I vibe with The Walking Dead more is that like I think that they play with the setting more than like in its like direct influence to the story than the Last of Us, where the setting feels more for most of the story feels more like a set piece, if that makes sense. I don't know. That's just like that might just be the way I interpret the games, because like I know a lot of people didn't play it, but like the final season of The Walking Dead is like
still need to play that.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you remembered me in 2019, like, and even part of 2020, just tweeting every time I could, just like, play this game, play this game, play this game.
I remember.
It's so good. Like, I honestly think it's better than the first season. In most regards, I would say. Like, I think that like, it's very different than The Last of Us in this sense, but like it very much is like a companion piece of the first season, where it's like, hey, here's, in the first game, it's like, here's this little girl who has no idea how to function
survive in this world,
right? And then in the final season, it is like, hey, here's this boy who was born into this world, doesn't know anything different, like anything outside of this, and how you try and make them see the normalcies of what society used to be. And
they explore that in the TV show as well.
Yeah, and also just like how they like, but also how you need to react to survive as well. Like there's, in the specific oh god, it's so hard to talk about without going into spoilers, but like just the way that they play with those themes in the final season is just wild. Like I just can't say like the different kinds of emotions that I experienced throughout that season. Like it really is like phenomenal, and I'm glad that game got to be finished and see through. But yeah, I like it. But overall, Naughty Dog, just like I really like the Jack series. I like Crash, but like I do think that like from a technical standpoint, what they do is really impressive. I don't know. I just haven't vibed with a lot of their games recently, like in the past like 2 generations.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that'll do it. I think that'll wrap it up. Just again, I had a really great time talking with you, Cam. So this was a lot of fun. If the people forgot, you're on Twitter at Cam Final Mix. Yep. Same thing on Twitch, Podcast Unlocked at IGN. And you can follow me at MaxRoberts143 and go to maxfrequency.net for the rest of it. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.